After a long pause, she said, "I'm going to take a shower first." Then she hurriedly left. Watching her walk away, I smirked coldly, memories of my previous life flooding back. Layla was my college classmate. Because of her beauty, she had many suitors. In the end, for money, she chose Carter. However, just a few months after their marriage, Carter went bankrupt due to an accident. The once loving couple immediately began fighting, and their Instagram was filled with insults and complaints about each other. Initially, Layla and I weren't close. After I married Matthew, she became very interested in Matthew's family background and began contacting me frequently, becoming my good friend. When she was abused by Carter, she came to me crying in the middle of the night. Feeling sorry for her, I didn't refuse and let her stay at my house for a while. But after moving in, she deliberately showed off her figure in front of Matthew, repeatedly pretended to be pitiful, and even pretended to enter the wrong room in the middle of the night, walking into Matthew's study. Realizing something was wrong, Matthew used business trips as an excuse to stay away until he returned half a month later. What I didn't expect was that Layla would discover she was pregnant at that time. Just as I was about to ask Layla what had happened, Carter came and broke Matthew's leg, and even took us to court. In court, Layla tearfully accused Matthew of having bad intentions toward her, raping her while she was staying at our house, and accused me of not only failing to stop Matthew but even helping him hurt her. Matthew and I strongly denied it, but Layla produced an amniocentesis report showing that the child in her womb was indeed Matthew's. In front of the media cameras, she cried and said, "I always considered Naomi my best friend, but I never thought she would be the devil who pushed me into hell, and Matthew is even more of a bastard." Because of this statement, Matthew and I were cursed by netizens. After Layla reported us to the police, we were thrown in prison and even required to pay Layla $1 million in emotional damages. In the end, Matthew and I died miserably in prison, while Layla used the $1 million we paid her to get an abortion, then lived happily ever after with Carter. Thinking about all this, I gritted my teeth in hatred. In this life, I would definitely expose Layla's true intentions. The next day, I secretly installed surveillance cameras at home. After Matthew left, I also made up an excuse to go out. Then, from a nearby cafe, I opened my phone to monitor everything Layla was doing in my house. She walked into my bedroom, wearing my luxurious pajamas and spraying my perfume. She snorted coldly, then muttered to herself, "How could such a wealthy man like a boring woman like Naomi? How could her figure ever compare to mine?" As she spoke, she took out my limited edition Hermes handbag and wore it, her expression filled with vanity. Just then Carter called Layla. She answered impatiently, "What is it? Any progress? Did Matthew sleep with you last night?" Carter's anxious voice came through the phone. Layla sneered, "No, he's incredibly stupid. I tried to seduce him, but he didn't respond at all. He might be gay." Carter became more anxious. "You're useless. You're usually so good at seducing other men. Why are you failing now?" PSH. Layla immediately cursed, "Carter, how dare you question me? If you hadn't almost been killed by debt collectors, would I need to seduce other men? Besides, he's the one who refuses to sleep with me. What can I do about it?" Carter retorted, "You're so stupid. If you don't sleep with him, you can't get pregnant." Hearing Carter's words, Layla suddenly thought of something and excitedly said, "Technology is so advanced nowadays. As long as I get Matthew's condom, I can get pregnant with his child." Then, she lowered her voice and started plotting with Carter. Due to the limited audio quality of the surveillance, I couldn't hear the details of their plan. However, by now, I had a pretty good idea of what they were trying to do. That evening, I returned home. As soon as I walked in, I saw Matthew hurriedly coming out of the bedroom, followed by a disheveled Layla. Seeing me return, Matthew immediately hugged me and nervously said, "Naomi, don't misunderstand." She said her clothes were damaged and asked me to check. I was about to refuse when she suddenly started undressing. Worried that Matthew might say something he shouldn't, I quickly interrupted him. "Matthew, how could I misunderstand you?" Then, I directly took Matthew's arm and pretended to casually look at Layla. "Layla, are you okay?" I'll go to the guest room first." Layla suddenly covered her mouth and ran back to the guest room. In my previous life, Layla had also made this gesture. The reason she acted so pitiful was that she had already turned on her phone to record and fabricate evidence that Matthew had harmed her. It was because of this evidence being spread that Matthew and I couldn't defend ourselves in court and were directly sent to prison. In this life, I want to see what tricks she can play under surveillance. Matthew wanted to explain what had just happened, but I hugged him and deliberately said softly, "Matthew, I've missed you so much. Don't worry about Layla. Go take a shower." Understanding my hint, Matthew smiled and said, "Wait for me." Then he quickly went to shower. I took the opportunity to leave our bedroom door slightly ajar. Though not obvious, it was enough for Layla to hear our voices and know what we were doing. Matthew soon came out of the bathroom. Then we didn't finish until late into the night. He kissed me contentedly before casually tossing the condom into the trash can. I looked toward the door and noticed a silhouette in the gap. Then I smiled coldly. Layla was indeed outside our bedroom. Just then, Matthew received a call from his company about a business error. He had to return to the office and I volunteered to walk him downstairs. Matthew hurriedly drove away. At that moment, I took out my phone and checked the home security camera. Layla was rummaging through the trash can in our bedroom. She was truly disgusting. The next morning, Layla messaged me on WhatsApp saying she had reconciled with Carter and moved out of my house. I had anticipated this, so I ignored her and waited for her next move. Sure enough, less than 2 weeks later, just like in my previous life, Matthew and I received court summons. A police officer came directly to our home and said with contempt, "Matthew, Naomi, you're suspected of illegal detention and rape. You need to come with us to the police station immediately." Just like in my previous life, the police gave us no chance to explain, ignored our protests, and took us straight to the station. The media and reporters had already surrounded the police station entrance, with Layla, Carter, and their friends and family standing in the center. Seeing us brought in by the police, she looked extremely pleased, though pretending to be upset. She cried, "Naomi, you're a monster. To please your husband, you tricked me into your home so he could rape me. You even helped him imprison me." Carter's acting was even better than Layla's. "Naomi, my wife genuinely considered you a friend. How could you do something so horrible? I should kill you." The police quickly stepped in to stop him, while the reporters around us were furious. One man said, "They're such bastards to do something like this." A woman agreed, "Naomi is inhuman, hurting even her own friend. She's shameless." Another man angrily added, "They're a pair of scumbags. That poor girl." Just like in my previous life, Matthew's face turned red with anger. "You're all insane. I didn't rape her. She's been constantly trying to seduce me. Her face is surgically altered. I find her repulsive." Hearing his words, Layla cried, "Matthew, I knew you wouldn't admit it, but I have crucial evidence. I'm pregnant. All I need is an amniocentesis to test the baby's DNA, and we'll know who the father is." Her statement excited the crowd even more. They praised her for being brave and clever, knowing how to fight for herself. The police agreed and immediately contacted a medical team for DNA testing. Within 2 hours, the results were ready. At this moment, Carter and Layla were extremely smug, barely able to contain their smiles. But after opening the test results, the officer responsible for announcing them froze in place. "The DNA comparison shows that the father of this child is," he said in shock, his voice cracking, "Nathan Johnson."